Do you have people in your life who push your buttons? Do you get triggered easily? I'm not immune to it either. Stay tuned for this entire episode because you are going to learn methods for getting that out of you, transmuting that energy so you can be the clearest possible instrument to connect with spirit and loved ones who have passed and to no longer carry around that heavy baggage. What a great show in store for you right now. Hi, everybody. I have a repeat guest on my show today, Mary Sise. She is a pioneer in the field of energy psychology. And does she have some great tools and tips for all of us? I know I personally will benefit based on the conversation we've already had. So let me welcome back to the show, Mary Sise.
Hi, Suzanne. It's always fun to be with you and to be here and to be sharing this information that you have, that I have, that we put it all together, and who knows what's going to get created. It's kind of like a cake.
Exactly. And I had the pleasure of having dinner with you when I passed through Albany on my way back from the Omega Institute recently. And it was just great to feel your energy in person. You are faculty with the Shift Network, and that's how we came to know each other. But I have to say, looking at you right now, I was snagged by that flower of life sculpture behind you, which is absolutely beautiful. I know what it means to me, but I'm being guided right now to ask you to tell everybody, why do you have that behind you?
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. So that there are certain things called sacred geometries. If you Google sacred geometries, there's different geometries, and the flower of life is one of the oldest. In fact, when we went to Egypt recently, on one of the walls is actually a flower of life in one of the excavation kind of places. I forget where it was. We went to a lot of different places. So it is the seed. It's like the beginning, and then everything goes from there. Sacred geometry is fascinating, and I'd love to share more about it, but I don't know more about it other than I know that when you look at a geometry and math, there's some math things, something happens in your whole system. And I can remember one time I was with a very famous energy worker, Donna Eden. You must know who she is.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, of course. So Donna
work.
was with me, and when I was showing her the flower of life. I have a pendant of it, and she said, when I put it on, all my meridians lined up and all my chakras lit up.
Oh, I got goosebumps.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. How exactly it works, guys, I had no idea. But I don't know about you, Suzanne, but I'm like one of those people. I don't know how Oprah gets in my TV either, but I turn it on. I'm just super pragmatic. If something's working and I'm feeling better, like I don't know how gravity works. There's a lot of things I don't know how it works, but really investigate sacred geometry. I would encourage everyone, and then look at the pieces, see what happens. Things happen in your brain. Things, obviously Donna saw my chakras all light up and all that. It was really pretty cool.
Very nice. Yeah. Well, you do understand how the brain works because you have studied it. You're a licensed social worker in the state of New York. And as I said, pioneer in the field of energy psychology. Really let us know what that's all about.
Okay, sure. But for me, everybody's got a different theory of everything, but the way I look at energy psychology and the way the field is looked at is that we use the energy systems of the body for psychological problems. So I can't say to you, I use, because I'm licensed as a social worker, so I have to use it for psychological problems. So you could have a pain in your shoulder, and I can't say I can help you with that. What I can say to you is, I know something that looks at the emotional part of pain. Would you like to try some energy? Like mostly what I use is tapping, but there's other ways you can use it on the pain, and the pain may go away, but I can't tell you I do that. So it's really for psychological problems. So it would be in the area of beliefs, in the area of emotions. And now, we're much wiser than when I started being a therapist. We know that emotions and pain and emotions and this, it's all related. There is a mind-body connection.
Like that flower of life behind you. To me, that speaks to the connection of everything. We all originated from one seed and everything's connected, and it's one big web. Everything of energy. So you mentioned tapping. Everybody, don't go away. She's going to teach us a technique, and we're actually going to do some tapping. I get to be the guinea pig, but you can do it along with us. And so hang in there for that. But give us just right off the bat a case study, without using names because of privacy, of course, of how you a really fantastic healing of somebody with energy psychology.
Okay, so the ones I have the most studies of, because early on in my career, I was doing a lot of trauma work with people. It was early with trauma, and we didn't even know the things we know now. We had no idea how the brain worked. And I found, Suzanne, that by talking with them about their traumas, I mean, I knew I was supposed to do this, the standard teaching, but the more we started talking about their traumas, it felt like the worse they were getting. And intuitively, I knew, oh, this might be a really dumb idea. I don't think this is working. Like, now they're a little more suicidal, or now they have to go in the hospital, or they're getting more depressed, or their panic is getting worse. So it was because of that I began to hear about these newer therapies that not only the first ones I heard of were the ones who use some eye movements. One's called EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. This is in the 90s. Okay, we didn't even know how the brain hardly worked, but there was something about moving eyes, and what would happen is the flashbacks would get better, people would get better. But I had so many people on my caseload that had so many traumas that sometimes you'd move the eyes and too many would come in, and that would get a little testy. And so I was at actually an EMDR conference when somebody talked about this energy thing where you're tapping on meridian points on the body and some eye movements for psychological problems. And I thought, that's really weird. I had no idea what a meridian was, but I knew eye movements do something in the brain. And so whatever, make a very long story short, what I did, one of my favorite ones was this woman who could never use a bathroom in public. And this is early on, and she came in my office, and she just couldn't do it. We had talked about it, but a lot of her trauma had happened there as a teenager, actually, in her family bathroom. And so I said, well, let's do this thing. It's kind of, they knew I was doing weird things, but whatever. So we tapped on her, and we moved her eyes around, and that anxiety that she felt was gone. And I said, well, go test it. Go use our bathroom. One round of tapping. She went in our bathroom, no panic, no anxiety. She was so happy. It was so fast. And they were gone. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I had no idea what I was doing, but I saw it worked. So that's when I went and I really studied it, so I could figure out why it's working. The problem is we didn't know. And this leads us into this idea, where I then needed to go and study was brain science. What happens in the brain? How are we triggered? Why couldn't this woman use a bathroom in public? Or why, after a car accident, can't you drive your car without anxiety? Or what happens in the brain? Or why, if your dad's yelling and banging the table as a little girl, you can't be in the room with your boss who gets a little agitated. You start to get scared. That makes sense. So I had to know the brain science to kind of figure out what's happening here. And we're just using the energy system. I had to understand that too, but whatever.
So tell us why, and then talk about meridians, because the second you said it, I said there are going to be people that don't know what the meridians
What a
are.
meridian is. Well, just like me, I had no clue what a meridian was. I always say I'm really kind of a regular soccer mom with, no weirdness in me at all. But I had to go figure out why I was tapping somebody's face. I wasn't tapping them, they tapped themselves. So let me start with meridians. In Eastern medicine, it's all energy medicine. Why? Because 5,000 years ago, there were many masters who could actually see energy, and they mapped out this series of meridians. And it's actually one long thing, but they call it different names, like your gallbladder meridian or your heart meridian, based on the organ that particular part of the meridian flows through. Okay. So it's how the energy moves through and gets transported through the body. You know that there's places in China still to this day, I don't know how many are left, but when I was first learning, this is what they said, where the acupuncturist only gets paid if his people are healthy.
Oh, wow.
Crazy is that? Yeah. Like, yeah. And the whole thing is you keep the energy moving. That's why you'll, if you went to China, and not so much now, obviously, because they've clamped on a lot of that, but people will do qigong, and it was all about keeping your energy strong and moving so that it moves through these meridians. That's Chinese medicine theory quickly.
I had a physicist, Mary, reach out to me and said, I'm hearing all these things about this energy movement, and I can't find any proof of it. There's nothing can measure this. Is it real? And I wrote back to him and I said, until we have technology that can measure and detect the energy beyond those with the eyes to see, just use it and see if it works. And it does. So that's what I love about this. Sooner or later, technology will catch up. But in the
It has to catch up, because this is what people, I know many people who have psychic sight, who can actually see the meridians. They can look at you, they can tell. And the truth is, when you start working with energy, it begins to reveal itself to you. The minute you start to go into that realm, and so, well, I always say my third eye needs a contact lens. I got nothing. I don't see anything. Okay. I don't, but intuitively I know.
There you go.
That's from all these years of working and trusting, and stop the doubting that we are energy. And the truth is, now, if they look at you under an electron microscope, you're not solid at all. Hello, you're not. So it's really not, you don't have to believe in it. It's not like church. Okay. It's just, there is microscopes that can see that. And there's hundreds, over 100 and some odd studies on the tapping and the meridians. And there's certain, you can research all that if you want to. There's a whole book out about it. And so, but for me, I was like, oh my God, you now can drive a car. Or, oh my God, you now can use a bathroom. Like, I had this one lady who was robbed at gunpoint, and she couldn't even see a gun on TV without having a panic attack.
Mm.
Hers was a couple sessions, done.
Mm.
Not like years and years and years of therapy. So why? That's a bigger question. Let's talk a little bit about, so that's about meridian. Okay. Now let's move over here to the brain. Your brain, if I like to use, this is Dan Siegel, who's a doctor, and came up with this great idea. So this part of your brain, the top part of your brain, is where all your smarts are, your reasoning, your logic. So you go to therapy, it's your smarts with their smarts. Very nice. And then you go home. Okay. And then you get triggered. So if we take this part of your brain offline, we open it up and we look in here. This is called your limbic brain. And there's a part in here, it's called the amygdala, which is a smoke alarm in there. Now, its job is to tell you, I've seen this before, danger, danger, danger. Yeah. And it puts you into fight, flight, freeze. We all know that. But there's a fourth one these are the top things that put you into. And that one's called fawning. Fawning, we know fighting. You try to fight, a tiger's in the room, you want to try to fight him. Or flight, you try to run away. Freeze, you shut the whole system down. Fawning is you try to convince that tiger not to eat you.
Well, that reminds me of our dogs, that sometimes if they don't want to do something, they just roll on their back and just go like this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why? Because a preying animal will not eat a dead animal usually. Mm. You see, so it was it's a survival mechanism of the brain. Huh. You see, and fawning is what we would, us humans would say, is people pleasing. Like, you get triggered, but you go right away, or you're scanning and you're always trying to make sure that everything's smooth.
Oh, I can relate to that. Maybe you can. Let me just do a little sidebar real quickly here, Mary. Some people may be saying, why are we doing all this talk about trauma on a Messages of Hope show? My main goal is to help people learn to, like my book says, make the shift to a divinely guided life. If we're constantly in a state of tension, stress, fear, we are not going to feel connected. So these shows that help you clear out trauma, clear out blockages into the flow that's always going through you, will help you feel connected, get insights, connect with loved ones. So it's all connected.
Exactly. And to be in that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn thing, it's like static on the line. You can't get the information. It's like you've got it. We all have a direct line. But when you're freaking out and your brain is freaking out, you can't use that area of the brain, which we're finding more and more about the pineal gland and the pituitary, and then these other areas of the brain now that give you these expanded states where you can easily go through the veil and tap into anything. The second thing for why this is really important for your audience is so many really want to go through the veil, but you really just have these expanded loving experiences, of course. But you want, it's kind of like a house, a vacation. You want to just have a vacation rental, you want to rent for a week, you want to have an overnight stay there, or you want to live there. You want to be able to be the love and light and peace that many of you have been able to tap into. And if you can't clear out these lower chakras where a lot of the fears are stored and the old programming in your subconscious mind, you can't live there. You could go for an overnight. I don't know how long you guys go for, but you can't live in this state of peace and bliss that is our birthright. That we were supposed, this is what Earth was supposed to be when it was created.
So
that makes sense.
Oh, so it just makes total sense. And that's what we want for everyone. And
Yeah.
we talked about this in your last show. There are things that even no matter how awakened you feel, still trigger us. And I see those as windows of opportunity. I want to give thanks to another guest of mine, Lee Smith, who just reached out to me. And you've talked about, you said this is weird stuff, crazy stuff, or woo-woo stuff. Lee said he knows I like acronyms. Woo-woo is simply an acronym for window of opportunity, right? So that's what this tapping and the eye movement offers us when we are willing to look at what's triggered us. So talk about triggers, please, and when those get implanted in the system.
Okay. So there's a couple things with that brain. Under the age of 7, the brain is primarily in a theta state, which is a very programmable state. Okay. You know, if you have, I have grandchildren right now, and it's so much fun to watch them now that I know what the brain is. I mean, they are really a princess when they're a princess. Okay. They won't even answer sometimes to their regular name when they're Princess Leia. Okay. Whatever. They're in it. So it's very programmable. And that's the state we would, if doing hypnosis, that we put you in, and then we make suggestions to you. And if I get you in a deep enough theta state, I can put a dime on you. I'll tell you it's a hot coal. You'll actually blister. That's how powerful under the age of 7 is. So now everybody just take a moment and think about what happened under the age of 7. What did your brother tell you about you? What did your sister? Well, how was your father? How was your mother? Was it safe on the planet? That's all programmed in you. Like, it's just like my poor sister, I should pay for her therapy for the things I told her, right? Okay, like really, I mean, we didn't know. We didn't know. Who do you think you are? My kids, I tease my grandkids, who do you think you are? I'm divinity. I'm soul. Nobody was saying that in New Jersey in the 50s. I don't know where you grew up, but like that was not the conversation. There was no namaste, right? Like that wasn't happening. So that's your program. So you think you're less than, or you have to earn your worthiness, or you whatever. That's where all the interesting stuff is. So then what do? We suppress it, and we do all our things after the age of 7, to try to prove ourselves. Now, what's going to happen in my experience is somebody's going to come and push your buttons. They didn't install them. Your buttons got installed by under the age of 7, or in any really traumatic event. That's where most of the programming is. So you can't rationalize your way into it. But that terror comes up. And then how you know you're in it is you go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. That's a clue. Like, oh man, there I am doing that thing. I'm avoiding dealing with somebody. I'm ready to, me, I'm a fighter. Okay. Like I like you have a problem, I'm right in there with an opinion, or
I'm a runner.
You're a runner, you're a fleer. Yeah. And some of you more men, mostly women, this is, I would say, it was some men too, but we just try that. We always know what's going on. Hyper vigilant. We know they know what's going on, and they keep things smooth. But then you don't have a sense of why your soul is here. Like you're so busy surviving that you can't thrive. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. And you were making some good points offline earlier about, dealing with the soul and making sure you're on track with what your soul came here for. Would you talk about that?
Well, your soul chose to be here during this time, despite what anybody else told you in your family that you shouldn't have been here. You're a mistake. That's baloney. It's not easy to get here. It's you have to like ask a lot of souls to finally get somebody to bring you in. So you really wanted to come. So the only question really worth asking yourself is, for what reason did I want to come here? What, and I would suspect that most people on this show or listening to you, or they know they came here for something. But the only way you're going to find out is to meditate. But the problem when you've had a rough childhood and you're so hyper vigilant and you're scared all the time, you can't meditate very easily. You get anxious when you get quiet.
Why? Why do people get anxious when they get quiet?
Because when they're not paying, because as a child, when you weren't paying attention, it was dangerous. You didn't know what was going to happen. So your brain, your amygdala, the smoke alarm, has coded quiet and dangerous. Or because when you sit quietly to meditate, oftentimes your stuff comes up, a memory that you want to run away from, or something. Oh, I thought I already dealt with that. Many of you say to yourself, or I shouldn't be feeling that. I'm a spiritual person. Good luck with that. Things will come up, and so you can't settle the system down very easily, and therefore the information that you get from spirit or that you can't get it all the way in. And now is also the time you'll hear people talking about the word ascension. Okay, I don't know if you've heard it, but the planet is ascending. Something's happening on the planet right now. Well, there's ascension of consciousness and there's ascension of your matter. So your matter, your matter, that has all the programming in it, all the fears in it. The cells hold the memory. So everything's coming up right now for everybody. Just when you thought it was like that, just when you thought it was safe to go in the water, just when you thought you were all so evolved, somebody's going to come and push your buttons. So, and I always see as my spirit up there as like a air. I think I told you it's like an air traffic controller. Okay, she's got to get that unworthiness thing. Let's send somebody over. Like they're sending in the next plane to trigger me. And then I gotta go, what is that? Like, oh, I thought I dealt with that. And they go all fussy. But that's the time to transmute energy. It's alchemy. What you're doing is you're saying, this energy is in me. Let me transmute it. I'm that powerful because who am I? I am divinity in a physical body. How's that?
That works. So please show us how we transmute that stuff that comes up when we sit to recognize our divinity, which is the main goal here, to shine our light brighter, to allow that divinity to exist through us.
Okay, so you want to be our case example? Do you come up with a mission? Okay, so everybody think of something that, or if you can think of a person who just triggers you. Now remember, they're here to push your buttons. They didn't install them. Okay, so bring to mind a situation or a person, like it could be a colleague, it could be your sibling, it could be your father, whatever, who cares who it is, doesn't matter. But somebody who triggered you this week, who pushed your button. Remember, they pushed them, they didn't install them. So we all want to shoot the guy or try to run away, or you're always trying to smooth it over, but you're lying and you betray yourself. Oh, and you get so mad. Okay, so you got yours, and you can
it's easy. Yeah, just
okay.
I spent the whole weekend in Love and Light leading a workshop, and it was just beautiful. And then we were having a lovely dinner conversation, and Ty just expressed a strong opinion about something historic. Actually, it was a historical event, and he got very, very intense about it and made a comment that just triggered me. And it just, I felt his energy, and I just basically cut him off, cut off the whole conversation, left the table, and he felt diminished. And I felt bad. Then I started pleasing all evening, but it wasn't working because I'd pushed his button. So it's just, I
Oh,
know.
welcome.
Oh God.
Welcome to marriage. Welcome to Earth,
Right.
we could say. Exactly. See, why? This is a good point. Why do people we love push our buttons so much? And because we can't run away from them. It's easy if it's just some random person and they say some stupid thing like he did, and then you can just write them off. They don't have the power. But we love this person, so it's usually the people closest to you, or your boss, or somebody who's power over with you, that really push your buttons, and you can't escape. And you don't really want to escape, but you're like, ugh. All right, so take a breath in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So move in. Go, everybody. Think of somebody. I'm not saying you have to tell them, oh, thank you for showing me what I have to work on next. We
Oh,
won't
but
get
I do.
Yeah, but don't jump there, because that's spiritual bypass. We have to get it first. So first, and the easiest question that usually gets me to the quickest answer is I say, who did he just remind me of?
Easy.
Easy. It's usually dad or mom.
My mother. It's my mother. Yeah,
I
definitely.
married my mother. Guys, you always marry your mother or your father. I think that's an energy law, but
No, Ty is mostly my father. Gentle,
okay.
beautiful,
Right.
loving.
But every once in a while, mom shows up
Yep.
at the dinner table. Okay, so tap into that. Feel what's happening in your body as you think of that moment. Bring your awareness to your body. Where is it holding?
Oh, it's right in the second chakra in the abdomen.
Okay, breathe into it. Everybody find it in your body. This is important because if you go out of your body, the tapping won't work. We're using the meridian systems of the body.
And what she means by that is I feel a clenching there. So you may feel it in your heart or at the base of your
Or your
spine.
shoulders, or you want to be, punch him, like whatever. Your fist might clench. Okay, so feel it there. Breathe into it. Can you pick up what the energy is? Like anger, rage, shame, hate. What is it? And just own it. It doesn't matter. You got it? You want to say it or no?
But to me, I see like lightning bolts. It's anger.
It's anger. Okay, great. So breathe into it. Now, some of you listening, you could have violence in you. You could have hate in you that got put in you as a little child. Just own it. Don't be embarrassed. You don't have to admit, who cares? But at least admit it to yourself. So, Suzanne, 0 to 10, how intense is it as you bring yourself to that point?
The
As you
6.
think, 6, great. Now you're going to come down 3 inches and over 3 inches. It's like a Pledge of Allegiance. It's sore right here if you rub it, and you're going to do it on both sides of the body. So everybody find it in the body, give it a number, and now you're just going to admit it's in you. So even though for some of you could be, I hate this person, or I feel hate in me, or I want to just blow them up, or I want to blow the world up. Who cares? Just say it to yourself or out loud. You're all home, so you can do it out loud at home, because it's important your body hears that you're acknowledging. So even though this energy is in me, I accept myself. Even though you just hate, frustration, helplessness for some of you. You're angry, but you couldn't say it to your parents, or you wouldn't be sitting here now. Even though sometimes the energy of rage, I think of as anger with helplessness. You couldn't express it. So even though there's rage in me, and for you, you just ran away. So you just want to run away, leave. Even though
but the funny thing is when I ran away, I got angry myself.
Because energy has to do something. Yeah. So like, I'm sure everybody on this call or listening to this podcast can relate. You have an energy in your field. You can't express it out. You certainly don't want to put it on him. You couldn't put it on your mother because you wouldn't be sitting here. You couldn't put it on the teacher or whoever did something. You turn it on yourself. That's called self-loathing, guys, when it's really big. So even though there's rage in me or there's anger in me, I accept myself. So just accept it's in you. It's not a big deal. Don't make it a big deal. It's just an energy. Don't give it too much power. Even though there's rage in me, and I could rip a few faces off. Or somebody said to me, I like this one better. I could spray paint a few cars. I accept myself. Just accept it's in you. It's okay. It's not who you are. It's just an energy. Even though there's rage in me, I accept myself. Now, the side of your hand, this is a meridian point. So you're going to tap here. And now intention is really important because of free will. You can keep the rage or you can transmute the rage. So I'm choosing to release this rage or this anger or this hate, violence, whatever anybody's working on. All the roots and origins of how it ever got in me and all that it means and does to me. I'm choosing to release this energy, whatever it is, rage. For some of you, it might be shame, hate, doesn't matter. All the roots and origins of it and all that it means and does to me. I am choosing to release this energy, this rage, this hate, this violence, whatever it is. And keep your awareness on your belly or whatever it was showing up, all the roots and origins of it and all that it means and does to me. Okay, now we're going to tap these points on the body that in Eastern medicine go with different emotions. So eyebrows where they start, side of your eye. This one's actually your gallbladder meridian, which is where rage and self-loathing are. So if it's that, you want to tap that. That way the gallbladder will stay healthy. Under your eyes. Interesting thing about those Chinese, they mapped these like 5,000 years ago, and it's never changed. Under your nose. Under your lip. This was their system of medicine. All you come here like as if you have a skinny tie on and just tap here. This is your kidney meridian. This is where fear is. Hands down, 4 inches from your under your arm. Come down. It's on your bra strap for women. Guys, you got to figure it out. This one is a lot of times if you grew up with terror, this is where terror is. And you have terror in your body. You're terrified of your mother or your dad. So tap that one. And oftentimes this one's tender. Then under your chest, right here, like under your chest, this is your liver, both sides.
Microphone is.
Show you this better, right here. Liver is anger, anger. And we know people who have anger problems oftentimes have trouble with their liver. Hands together, all your fingers together, excuse me, like that on the top of your head. The meridian points in all the fingers. So you want to make sure all your fingers are touching. Okay. Now we're going to tap on this piece here, this top of the palm. It's like in between your ring finger and your little finger. There's a soft area right there. And put it on your body. Again, we're trying to quiet the body down. And tap there. I'll show you there. Okay. Now we're going to move your eyes around. This is that eye thing. And there's reasons for the brain why we do that. But your head is straight. And you close your eyes and open them. And you keep tapping. Your head is straight. You look down in one corner. And then down in the other corner. You keep tapping. Your head is straight. Now move your eyes all the way around the room in one direction and keep tapping, and then go in the opposite direction. Keep tapping. Good. And then hum. And then count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Then hum again. All right. Then we do it again.
Wow.
Eyebrows. Your
I
side.
don't know about all of you, but I'm already feeling better.
Under your eyes. Your husband will thank me. Under your nose. Under your lip. Here at your collarbone, like a skinny tie, just on either side of that. And you may find when you're doing the tapping, like one, I just want to stay there longer. Stay there longer. That's usually what you're intuitively you need. Under your arms, 4 inches. This one almost everybody needs because everybody's freaking out. Under your chest. Yeah. And then all your fingers up here at the top of your head. All right, another deep breath of the body. Now think of this situation last night or whatever you guys are working on this call. Is it more intense? Is it less intense? Or is it the same?
It's gone. Yeah. For me, right. I hope everybody feels a lessening.
Yeah. Most of the time, it won't go all the way on the first one because there's a part of you that will kind of come in and go, wait a minute, no, I need that anger to keep me safe, or I need that to keep me safe, or I need, and you did as a kid, okay? There's nothing wrong with what you did as a kid to survive. Everything is a survival thing on earth. So, and we have these old survival brains that are wired. They're wired for survival. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with us. We have energies in our field. Energies came at us and they went in our field. And then what happens? You're going to bring somebody to you that'll push that button. It'll show up again. But now if you use what did you say? Something opportunity, like,
Oh, the window of opportunity.
yeah, window of opportunity. Like, oh, like just go in the other room. Don't, like, if you're a fighter like me, don't open your mouth, because usually you're going to have to apologize later. Okay. I have to apologize a lot, or did. If you're a flighter, just go in the other room, no problem. Do a couple of rounds of tapping and then get calm. Now you can go back and say something, but it doesn't have your mother's energy, the anger you had there, or because of who they're reminding you of in the relationship with your husband or with your boss or with your child. How many times if you have children, you find yourself screaming at your kid, you're like, why am I that upset? It doesn't even make sense. They're pushing your buttons. And so what happens is this amygdala, when it gets pushed, this smoke alarm, this part of your brain where all your smarts are goes offline. This part is primary. When you tap, this part comes back online. And now you can go back in and say to him, hey, here's what I really meant, or here's what got triggered in me. But that's your responsibility to clean it up. Because personally, I don't know about you, but my experience has been when I, just leave that guy for somebody who will treat me better or whatever. You bring yourself, you're just going to bring another one worse. So, like,
That
don't
is
do
true.
that.
Yes.
Why? Because your soul wants these energies out of you so you can then listen more clearly and feel called to what your soul is calling you to next. And you can't do that and be scared at the same time, or at least you have to take it down. I shouldn't say you won't be scared ever again, because that's ridiculous. We're on Earth. But it's easier to take a leap of faith when it isn't this big, right? So the more you take all the past out of it, and you usually there's a little bit, you gotta, that's why they call it a leap of faith. You need faith to go to what you're being called to next, because it's kind of like a little initiation thing often.
Yes,
So,
we're being tested, and I love that we are given tools like this.
yeah, yeah.
That was really awesome, and thank you for that. I really thought I had dealt with that when I realized one of the triggers, and that's similar to that I know arose from my mom. Thank you, Mom.
Yes.
But I thought it was gone, and then it came up again last night. So it's funny that there was just a little flare up. So there may have just been a little bit left, and I was overtired. So there you
Yep.
go. Yeah.
Yep. And
So
that's when you're tired and you're just like, it just hits you wrong and whatever. But again, don't run from it. Just like embrace it, accept it's in you. Don't resist anything, or it can't be transmuted.
that's right. That's what I love, because the soul is just in all of us saying, come on, let's work together. We got this. How
Yeah.
about when we get drained by being around certain people? What's going on with that?
Oftentimes it's because there's a couple of things. One, some people have a very open, I'm just learning human design. I'm not the best of it, but there's like a section in human design. If that's open on your chart, you really do take in other people's opinions easily. And so becoming aware of that is really good. And you just take it in. However, if you have the same frequency, it's like a guitar string, it will resonate with you. And by law of resonance, you're going to bring people to you again to show you what's not healed in you. So if you're taking things on, like, if you go to a group and you're taking things on and you're picking, some people will say, I'm an empath. Like, that's no, yes and no. I'm not saying you're not and you're more susceptible to that, but you better learn how to clean things up or you're going to get sick. You do not want to take on other people's energies. What you want to be is the flute, so that the divine can work through you, and that I don't do the work. I know how to be in alignment. So you're not taking any of my personal energy, because it's not my energy that's doing the healing work. I have to show up and do my gig, but all the healing is happening in this space of love. And I can love you because you're not triggering me. You start triggering me if I have a client, for example, that oh, she's so annoying. I know I'm triggered.
Uh-huh.
I just know I'm triggered. I need to work on that, because in order for healing to happen, it has to be a space of love.
So you would just go into your own private space later and say, where do I feel that annoyance? And
exactly. That's what I had to do. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing you'll see, Suzanne, because you're being called, like many of us and many of the people on this program, probably to bigger and bigger groups. So you got to get all this stuff cleaned out because then you have more voltage, more capacity to serve the masses.
Yeah.
So that's why all these little prickly things are coming up. Now you transmute that. Now you can take in even more and even more. And that's really important if you're someone who came to be a world teacher, to be a bigger person. That's why it's so important we do our work.
Yeah.
Not a bigger person like it's greater or anything. It's just your soul go, oh, I think I'll go down there and do this. Next time I advise you to read the contract and the fine print, but like you wanted to do it for whatever reason, maybe you won't, who knows how it works. All I know is in order for me to serve larger and larger and larger audiences, I need to be clear. You can't, and if you trigger me, it's not your fault. You're showing me I have the same guitar string. It's like you put a guitar string here, and if the other guitar has it, it resonates. Yeah. That's what it's showing me. So once again, the solution is go within, go within. And I play a game with myself sometimes. You know, my goal is to be able to, that the universe, that the divine can put me anywhere and I can be light and love. Okay. Now, sometimes I can only stay about a half an hour before I have to get out of there. But my goal is always to stay, okay, 45 minutes next time. Okay. Like to be able to stay in that state despite the conversation or what's going on, to be able to love, to be able to not judge and hate and like, she's such a, like that's my game with myself so that I can stay. And then if I get triggered, it's okay. I don't get mad at myself. I just got to clean something else up. Oh, thank you for sharing that. So I can go not have an opinion on something.
Yeah. Oh, do we have a lot of opportunities for that?
Oh, yes. There's no end to it. It's just a free service people offer you. That's what how you tell them. I always tell my husband, it's just another free service I offer. I'll trigger you. Watch me.
I'll share that. I don't know that I appreciate it, but we'll give it a try. Oh my gosh. So you're speaking of reaching larger and larger audiences. I know you have another class coming up with the Shift Network, different from your last one. What's this one about?
Well, this one is the deep clearing EFT one. So that's what this one's going to be about. This class I love. I've done it actually before there. It's we do the tapping and I teach you how to do the tapping and how to figure out like what you got programmed. And we look at the things that are really important to people, like all that scarcity program. There's never enough. The scarcity of your health, scarcity of time. I had that one big time. Like there's never enough time. And I get aggravated when people mess with my time and like there's scarcity of wealth or health or that. So we do scarcity. We go look at your lineage, what's in your DNA. That's really funny. I'm Irish, so we always have a few laughs on that. And like, you're going to look at what is the programming that you take for granted that's, oh my God, I have that. Like when us Irish, I love the one because, their idea was, don't be too happy, tomorrow you'll cry. It's like there's a lid on happiness. You can't be too happy, or you can't be this, or you can't trust others, or you can't, so we have one that we do on that. We do a week on parts. Like we really look at the parts that are sabotaging me, that get in between me and what I say I want. And then of course we're doing tapping every week. And it's really a 7-week course where you're really going to clean yourself out and you'll get good at tapping and understanding how it works. And the whole theme of it that I love, that I think your listeners will love, it's all about being loyal to your soul and prioritizing loyalty to my soul, not to my programming, not to my lineage. What did my soul come for?
What does it look like to be loyal to your soul?
Oh, you just like, you don't people please. You're not fake. You tell that you're authentic. You really look at what are those areas in your life where you go out of alignment and loyalty to your soul just to fit in. We talk a lot about when to speak up and when to be silent. What relationships do I need to close? What ones do I need to embrace? And why am I still, doing some of the things I'm doing that I know darn well don't help me? And so, like, what is this sabotage? What am I afraid of? So we really, that's what I love about the course, because we really, there's a lot of different areas. And so by the time you've done that, you're really good at, cleaning things up for yourself. And
this is so important, Mary, because I love that you use the flute analogy. I used it in my workshop this past weekend, that I played the flute for decades, and it gets gunked up, and we get gunked up, and you can't play sweetly. You can't play your soul's tune. And so I'm always telling people, the more you work on yourself and clear that out, the more clear your connection with your higher self and all other souls. This is the goal. This is awakened living. So you have this technique that really works. I already feel better. I can't wait to go hug my husband. And I'll say, she's back.
She's back. Exactly. Oh, but here's the better part. He can do the same thing in 3 days. You won't go into orbit if it's really cleared.
Oh yeah, I know that.
That's the best part about it. So it's not like because what happens when you walk away or you fight or whatever, and you calm yourself down and you make a promise you're never going to do it again, then you go back, and then he says something similar, and off to the races you go. Why? Because that amygdala in there, the smoke alarm, didn't get reprogrammed. When you do this, it reprograms, it resets the amygdala. And therefore, somebody can do the exact same thing. You will be able to stay in alignment, speak if you need to speak, but not with all the history behind it.
Yep.
That's when you know you got it.
Yeah.
So, and it's not because you're, popping gummies and smoking something that you're just Zen girl over there. It's you stop, you're able to respond, not react. That's when you know you got it. Like, they can't get you.
This is a New Jersey girl here.
Exactly.
You crack me up. Okay.
Yeah. So nobody can trigger you because it's cleaned up. You're in, and then, and they always talk about being present time. Well, the problem is we're not. You went back to being a little girl with your mother. I went back to whatever. Everybody's like somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so when we're in present time, it's easy to meditate. Your life becomes the meditation.
Wow.
That's when we can live at the ocean in our vacation. It's not just a one-night rental,
Right.
And we live there and we be the peace that we want to see on the planet.
Somebody should write that down.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody smarter than me said it. But
well, listen, if you're interested in Mary's course, we'll do our best to put the link to it in the description on YouTube and in the podcast description. And you can check out Mary's work at, what's your website, Mary?
MarySice.com. The other thing I have that's really cool is that every Tuesday at 2:00, I have Tapping Tuesdays. It's free. People come from all over the world. You spend an hour with me. People will raise their hand. I'll work with them just like I work with Suzanne. Everybody gets a healing. And there's hundreds come from around the world. I did it for the pandemic and I was having such a good time. I can't stop myself. So we do it every week. So I don't know for how much longer I'm going to do it, but I really love it. And we have fun, and you realize,
time is that?
Oh my God, I can get better. I can heal something. 2:00 Eastern time on Tuesdays. Tapping Tuesdays at 2. That's how you remember it. And all you have to do is go on MarySice.com and just sign up for it and try it out. And no, if there's no commitment, you can come once a year, once a month. I don't care. Just whoever shows up, I know is supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And it's shocking. Somebody else will do your work, just like Suzanne did some of your work for you. So come join us. It's fun.
And bring your bag.
If you really want to learn this other thing, come in this course at the shift. It's really people, and then it's just so much easier to be loyal to your soul.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Mary. Really super helpful, practical, and opening us up to more living the awakened way. So thanks for coming back on the show.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me here.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you back here next week.